Hey dads, today on Daddy-Daughter Movie Night, we're going to talk about your kids and their future relationships. Stay tuned. Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure is a 2009 entry into the Tinkerbell series. If you've watched Daddy-Daughter Movie Night before, you know that we did a review of Tinkerbell and the Secret of the Wings, and we really liked that film. It's, I think, the best one in the series that we've seen. This one, Lost Treasure, really is sort of so-so. It's pretty good, but I thought it was interesting because it does something that a lot of media for young kids doesn't quite do and doesn't do well. And here, I think they took a good stab at it, and it kind of works out. They are talking about relationships here, and it is not obvious at first. When I was done watching this movie, now for the second time, I was wondering what it was trying to accomplish with its younger audience. And if you know me, I am trying to pull out a subtext in any story that we talk about here. While this film keeps it light, it really is sort of about the basis for lasting relationships, lasting friendships, and possibly lasting lifelong relationships. The plot is straightforward. Tinkerbell is chosen for the honor of creating a new fall scepter that helps renew the pixie dust tree during the Pixies Fall Festival. She is given a blue moonstone to go home and create the scepter. Her friend Terence, who is very well-meaning, sort of gets underfoot and in the way, and Tinkerbell, who is known for having a bit of a temper, has a falling out with Terence, and they break the blue moonstone during their argument, and the two part ways. Tinkerbell attends a play that night where coincidentally a tale is told about a pirate ship that crashed just offshore and contained a magic mirror with one wish left on it. So she sets out on her own to find it, hoping to use that wish to create another blue moonstone and set the world to rights. She befriends a firefly named Blaze, who acts as comic relief and gets her into some trouble now and then. Finally, she finds the shipwreck and the mirror and the wish. And at the last moment, everything, of course, goes wrong. Meanwhile, Terence is taking stock of his own part in the argument and realizes that Tink has set out on an adventure that could be somewhat dangerous and sets out after her to make sure she's okay. Once the last wish is gone, Tinkerbell is left with nothing but a reflection of herself. She uses it to think back on her part in the adventure, her part in the falling out with Terence, and her part in creating this dilemma and her reality. A reality that she doesn't want to have. A reality that she wants to fix. She realizes that she can't rely on wishes and hopes. She has to rely on herself. Part of that is in relying on the strong, true friendships that she's been able to build. Here with Terence, and Terence comes through right at the right moment, not as a hero, but as a friend. Together they face the challenges of tolerance and acceptance needed in a true friendship, and they work together to recover from the mistakes that they made earlier, and put their heads together and wind up building a fall scepter that's even more powerful than the one they had planned. They didn't make this an enchanted mirror for nothing. It could have been an enchanted lamp, an enchanted this or enchanted that. It's an enchanted mirror for a reason, and that's because this is a voyage of self-discovery for Tinkerbell and a voyage of self-discovery for the viewer. And the movie is especially concerned with Tinkerbell taking her own part in things and seeing herself in a relationship, in this case with Terence, her good friend. And it stops just short of being sort of a romance. It's not a romance story. You don't have to worry about that. That sort of hint is there if your kids are a little older and want to pick up on that. I think he's referred to as maybe her boyfriend in that later film. The emphasis here is on lasting friendship and true friendship. And that's a valuable lesson, I think. And it is here all over this film. This movie also contains a valuable lesson, I think, about building and creating the reality that you want to have, and not just sort of relying on dreams and passing fancies. Tinkerbell takes the lessons of her community and the world around her and strikes out and enhances them and creates a sort of new reality for herself. She does that in a couple of movies now that we've seen. And I think it is a good message for kids not to settle, to be a good sort of citizen, to be a good sort of friend, but not to be afraid to transcend what is expected of her, especially by herself, to transcend her own expectations for herself, and to be willing to change them and let them grow as she grows. My daughter Abby found this movie only so-so, as did I, and I think with good reason. The story is sort of set up in a romantic adventure type of plot, except that it's not a romantic adventure. It's a story about self-discovery and friendship. While those are very good reasons to have a story and very good lessons to have in your story for kids, it kind of falls flat. While movies like Frozen, for instance, take the hero trope in kids' films and turn it on its head to great effect. In Frozen, you have a true act of love, but it's very heroic. Here, there's none of that. It's just sort of two friends working together. And as good as that is for kids to see, it lacks drama. So just be warned when you go to watch this film. It lacks drama. But there are other things going on here that are worth taking a look at. Fast forward score is low to medium, I would say. There's really only one scene of real intensity. It's at the climax where Tinkerbell and Terrence encounter some rats, but they're so vicious and so out of the blue that we really just had to grab the remote and fast forward the whole scene. It felt tacked on because the climax of the film had sort of flagged by that point, and maybe they were trying to perk things up with this little extra jolt of drama. It doesn't really work. It's sort of a sore thumb. It doesn't really fit, and you're not missing anything too much by that point by skipping it. Daddy's reason to watch, I'm not going to give you an actor or anything like that right now. I'm going to say it's sort of the character Terrence, who is sort of on display here as just a good friend, a true friend for the main character, as she is rolling over in her mind what true friendship and core relationships are all about. In this case, boy-girl relationships. It doesn't get too heavy. Nobody's dating. But as we move forward as parents, that conversation is looming in the future, and having these sorts of good values in relationships on display in media early on, I think, is a pretty welcome thing. Good stuff overall. The film is streaming right now on Amazon. Do check it out. And check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you would, please do subscribe right now if you haven't already. And do hit the like button on this video and all of our videos. It really does help. Till next time, I'm Tom, and this is Daddy Daughter Movie Night.